Hello and welcome to my channel, Crochet and Copy. My name is Judy. Today I'm going to show you how to make this lovely watermelon tote. Let's get started. So before we get started, I want to show you the measurement of our bag. So across is 16 inches wide, and then without the handles, from the top to the bottom, because it's a little extra underneath, we get 12, okay? 12 inches. So that's our measurements for our bag, 16 wide and 12 tall. These are the supplies we're going to be using to make our watermelon tote handbag. I'll go over them with you. The yarn that we're using is from the Red Heart. It's the Super Saver, and it's the medium 4 and 100% acrylic, and this one that I'm using is the red cherry, because we're going to use the same yarn in different colors for our project. And I have the hunter green, black, and soft white. So that's our yarn, and we need one of each. We're going to be using 2 different hook size. The first one is the US F5. It's the 3.75 millimeter. Our next hook is the US H8. It's the 5.00 millimeter. We're going to be using a few stitch markers, a yarn needle, scissors, and lastly we're going to be using some sewing pins. So these are our supplies, so let's get started. So the yarn that we're going to start off with is the soft white, and the hook we're going to start off with is the US H8, the 5.00 millimeter. And we're going to start off by making a slip knot stitch. This is how I do it. Please feel free to do it the way you're comfortable with. I take the yarn, drape it over my 2 fingers, take my hook, put it between my 2 fingers, and pull up a loop. And there you have a little knot, and tighten it against your hook. And that's it. So we're going to start off by making the center of our bag, and the center will start our work. And for that we're going to do 13 chain, and a chain is yarn over your hook and pull through. That's it. So yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. So do that for 13 times, and I'll meet you there. So this is how we look when we completed doing our 13 chain. Step is we're going to put 1 double crochet in the 4th chain from our hook. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4. So here, but we're going to use the back part of our chain to do that, okay? So remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, go to the back, and then you're going to yarn over before you go into it, and go into that bump, and then pull up a loop. So now we have 3 loops on our hook. You're going to yarn over and pull across the first 2 loops of yarn, 2 more remaining on your hook, yarn over and pull across those 2, and that's it. And to keep us in line of where we're going to go, here is where we put our stitch marker. So our first stitch marker will go right here. And that's it. That's our first double crochet. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to put a marker right here on the 2nd chain from where we started, and that will be the end of our row that we're working now, and I'll show you why we put it there so I could tell you. You see. Anyway, let's move on. So now for the following 8 chain we have, all we're going to do is use the back part of it, and we're going to do a single crochet. And a single crochet is go into that back loop, and you pull up a loop of yarn, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over to complete it, pull across 2 of them. That's it. That's a single crochet. Another one I'll show you. Pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over to complete it, pull across. One more time, go into that chain, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull across. Keep on doing that till you get where the little stitch marker is, but remember, use the little back bump, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so we did that for 8 times, 8 we put in those chain 1 single crochet, and of course we still have our stitch marker there, and so that also we put a single crochet. So now what we're going to do for the last chain we have right here for a row, we're going to put 4 double crochet. Again, the double crochet is yarn over before you go into that chain, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull across the first 2, yarn over again and pull across the last 2 that's left, and that's to complete that double crochet. I'll show you again. Yarn over before you go into that chain, and it's the same chain we're going in. Yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull across the first 2, and then yarn over again to complete, pull across the last 2. So complete that by doing 2 more, because that's 2 we did, and you'll make 4, and I'll show you what to do next. Keep on working. So we completed putting the additional 2 double crochet, so we made 4 into that last chain. So now we're going to turn our work, and we're going to work the opposite side of our chain, and we're going to put 1 double crochet into the remaining chain till we get to the end. That will be 9 of them we have to do. So this is where a little stitch marker came in handy, because we don't want to put it back into the last chain we worked at. So double crochet again is yarn over, go into that stitch. Now I take out my stitch marker. I just use it to show you. You could find it easier. I also would place my little tail in the front so I could hide my work, but I keep it back there right now so you can see what I'm doing. So yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull across the first 2, 2 more remaining on your hook, yarn over and pull across those 2, and that's it. That's how to do the double crochet. So keep on doing that till you get to the end 9 times. Well, it'll be 8 now, and I'll meet you there. So we complete doing that for row 1. We did that 9 double crochet, and that's the completion of row 1, and we have 22 stitches. Now for row 2, what we're going to do is we're going to chain 2. Chain again is just yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through. Turn your work. Now for that first stitch right there, we're going to put 2 double crochet. So remember to yarn over before you go in and pull across the first 2 and then the last 2. Complete it. And we're going to put the stitch marker here. You don't have to do this if you could remember, but I'm going to refer back to it. And here is where I tucked in my little tail again, so I'm just going to cut it off in a minute, but let me just continue showing for row 2. So now into that same stitch, we're going to put another double crochet, okay? That's it. So that's how we start row 2. So for the next 6 stitches that we have, we're going to put 1 double crochet. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to put 1 double crochet. Remember, yarn over before you go into that stitch, pull up a loop, and then just continue taking off as you go along. All right, so when you finish that, I'll meet you there and show you what to do next. Keep on working with that pattern. So we did that 6 times. So now for the next 8 stitches that we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all you're going to do is you're going to put 2 double crochet, okay, into that same stitch. So that's 1, go back down into that same stitch, and that's 2. The next one, 2, remember, so that's 1 double crochet, and the second double crochet, next one, same thing. Continue doing that, work with that pattern till you get that 8 times, okay, and I'll meet you there. So we did that pattern by putting 2 double crochet into those 8 stitches. So now for the following 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we're going to put 1 double crochet. And that's it. So work with that pattern of putting 1 double crochet into those 6 stitches, and I'll meet you there. So we did that. We did our 6th stitch with 1 double crochet. So our last stitch is right here. Take out your stitch marker, and what we're going to do there is put 2 double crochet. It's 1, back down into that same stitch, and 2. And that's it for row 2. That's how we finish off. So for row 2 we have 32 stitches around. Now to start row 3, chain 2, turn our work. So for row 3, the first stitch is right here, and the following 10, so it's the first 11 stitches. All we're going to do is just do 1 double crochet. Okay, I'm going to put the stitch marker back in so we know where we're at. So just keep on working with that pattern of putting 1 double crochet into the next 10 stitches, and I'll meet you there. So we did that pattern of putting 1 double crochet in those first 11 stitches. Now for the next 10 stitches we're going to put 2 double crochet. All right, so this will be the first one. Go back down into that same stitch and you put another one. So do that for additional 9 more times and I'll meet you there. So we did that for 10 times, putting 2 double crochet. So now for the remaining 11 stitches we're going to put 1 double crochet. All right, so just work till you get to the stitch marker and I'll show you what to do next. So we complete doing that, and of course I took out my stitch marker. So now for that row, completion of row 3, we have our 42 stitches. So now for row 4 you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. So to start row 4 we're going to put 2 double crochet into our first stitch, and I'm going to put back my stitch marker and 1 more in that same stitch. Now for the next 40 stitches what you're going to do is just put 1 double crochet, and that will get you back to the other stitch marker. So just 1 double crochet, and when you complete that I'll meet you there. So we did those 40 stitches in just 1 double crochet. So for the last stitch right here, take out the stitch marker and we're going to put 2 double crochet, and that's the completion of row 4. And with the completion of row 4 you have 44 stitches. Okay, so row 5, chain 2, turn our work, and for the first 14 stitches all we're going to do is just do 1 double crochet, and I'm going to put my stitch marker back in. So remember the following 13, because we did one already, 14, just 1 double crochet. So we did those 14 stitches with 1 double crochet. So now for the following 16 stitches we're going to put 2 double crochet. So that's 1, back down into that same stitch, and that's 2. So do additional 15 with the 2 double crochet and I'll meet you there. So we did 2 double crochet into those 16 stitches. Now for the remaining 14 stitches all we're going to do is 1 double crochet, and that's the completion of row 5, and then completion of row 5 you have your 60 stitches. So when you finish that I'll meet you there. So we did those 1 double crochet into those remaining 14 stitches for row 5. So row 6, chain 2, 1, 2, turn our work, and for that first stitch right there we're going to put 2 double crochet, and I'm going to put back my stitch marker in that first double crochet. Next one, go back down into that same stitch and 2. There you go. And starting off row 6. Now we're going to do is 1 double crochet all the way till we get to that stitch marker. So that will be 58 stitches. Okay, so just 1 double crochet, and I'll meet you at the stitch marker and show you what to do next. So we did 1 double crochet into those 58 stitches. So now the last one for row 6 we're going to put 2 double crochet, and in the completion of round 6 you're going to have 62 stitches. So now for round 7, chain 2, turn our work, and now for each stitch around from row 6, 62 of them, all we're going to do is just do 1 double crochet around. So you're going to end off at row 7 with your 62 stitches. So when you get to the other stitch marker. I'll meet you there. Row 7, we did 1 double crochet around. So now round 8, chain 2, 1, 2, turn our work. And the pattern we're going to start off with for row 8 is you're going to, for that first stitch right here, you're going to put 2 double crochet. Of course, I'm going to put my stitch marker back in. And then the next, we're going to go back in because we're doing 2 double crochet into that stitch. And the next one, we're going to put 1 double crochet. All right. So I don't confuse you, I'll do it again. It's the next stitch will be 2 double crochet. So that's 1 and 2. The next stitch, 1 double crochet. So we're going to do that for 8 times, but we already did it 2 times, so you have to do it an additional 6 times. So the next one, the next stitch will be 2, next stitch 1 double crochet, next stitch 2 double crochet, next stitch 1 double crochet. So continue doing that so you get a total of 8 of that pattern, and I'll meet you there and show you what to do next. So now we did that for 8 times. We followed our pattern of 2 double crochet, 2 double crochet, and then 1 double crochet. And then now for the next 30 stitches, you're going to do 1 double crochet. And when you finish that, I'll meet you there. So we did that for 30 times by putting 1 double crochet. So now we're going to follow the same pattern we started this row with, row 8. We're going to do for the remaining stitches, we're going to do the pattern for 8 times again. So it's going to be the next stitch, you're going to put 2 double crochet, and the next stitch will be 1 double crochet. So you're going to follow that pattern to get to the stitch marker, and I'll meet you at the stitch marker because at this round we're going to have to change your color for round 9. I'll show you how to do that. So keep on working with that pattern of the next stitch will be 2 double crochet, 1 crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and I'll meet you there at the stitch marker. Okay, so we follow that pattern and we have 1 stitch left to do for row 8, and for the completion of row 8 you will have your 78 stitches. So we're going to take our stitch marker and we're going to start the stitch, and it's going to be 1 double crochet, and we're not going to complete it. I'll show you why. So start it and then pull across the first 2, because now we're going to change to our next color yarn that we have, the green, and that's the hunter green that I have. And give it a nice tail because we're going to tuck it in. All you do is loop it over your hook and you pull it across, and that's how you change your color. I'm going to in a minute cut this off, drop the old yarn, and then we're going to start with the new yarn. So you're going to start row 9, you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn your work. Let me grab my scissors and cut off the old yarn, and then I'll show you what to do. So to help you, you could give it a little tug so they could stay, so we could work with it for now. We're going to tuck it in later, but see, I give it a nice little tail too when I cut it off so that we could weave it in. All right, so for row 9, for that first stitch right there, and I'm going to put my stitch marker back in, we put 1 double crochet. And now for row 9 all the way up to 13, so you're going to do row the same. We did this for row 7, so you're going to do this for row 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. You're going to do it with just 1 double crochet. So that's 5 times 1 double crochet in each stitch around. So you're always going to end up with your 78 stitches. So keep a track of how many you have as you go along so you know. Okay, so that's it. 1 double crochet. Okay, so we did those 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows of just 1 double crochet with the green. And this is how we look so far. Coming out pretty nice. So now what we're going to do, we're going to turn our work so we could work to the top edge of it up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put in the chain 2 space that we made whenever we were going to make the other row, we're going to put 2 double crochet in there. So this will be our first one. And I put my stitch marker there. So I know that's my first one. And another one back into that same chain 2 space. Remember when we were turning the row, we did the chain 2 space. So that's where we put in 2 double crochet. And when you do that with the 2 double crochet till you get to, it's not going to be the stitch marker, but it's going to be that space right there. 2 double, you're going to have 52 stitches. And what you're going to do is you're going to just give this a little knot before you get there. So it holds on nice and tight. And then you're going to tuck it inside, because this is inside our bag. This would be the front of our bag, the outside. And this would be inside. So go ahead and weave it in before you do your 52 stitches and reach up there. So just do that. And when you finish doing those 52, I'll meet you there and show you what to do next. Okay, so we did that. We did our 52 double crochet in the top, so 2 in each of those chain 2 space, and this is how we look so far. Coming out pretty nice. I like it. And remember, we're going to have to make 2 alike, but we're going to chain 1 here, and we're going to pull up a nice little tail, because we're going to tuck it in. And remember, you tuck it inside and keep it. How I go when I tuck it in is just go up and down a couple of rows, so it stay nice and tight, okay, when it's in there. But that's it. I'm going to cut it off. And when you make 2 of them exactly like, so this will be my front of my bag, and I'm going to make another one, so we're going to do the back. But when you're doing the back, don't fasten off like we're doing here for the front of the bag. Just keep your yarn connected, and I'll show you what to do with those 2, because we're going to sew them together. All right, so do exactly everything we just did another time, so you can have the back of the bag. I'll meet you there. Okay, now so we made our 2 parts for our tote bag, our front of our tote bag and the back of our tote bag. We did them exactly alike, and of course our yarn is still attached, so we're going to start sewing up the edges of our tote bag. Okay, so being that our yarn is still attached, and we finish off with those 52 double crochet on the top. Remember where we left off our stitch marker when we did the last row? What we're going to do is we're going to take that stitch marker out, and that's where we're going to start, and we're going to slip stitch by, that's what we're going to use to sew down the edge of our bag. So you're going to go into that stitch where we had our stitch marker, and of course our stitch marker on this side is on the top of that first stitch for the top of our bag, the front of our bag. So we're not going to go there, we're going to go right here to the side. So we're matching it up to what we're putting in our hook. Hopefully you understand and I'm explaining it right. But a slip stitch is, what you're going to do is you're going to just pull up a loop, and then you're going to pull straight across. Okay, and that's a slip stitch, and that's all we're going to do. You're going to line it up as you go along to go from here to meet up back to the other edge. Okay, and what you could do also too, you could take the stitch marker so it could help you, guide you, so you know where you end off, and just line it up. Okay, like that, so it holds it together. And when we begin to sew up the edge with the slip stitch, of course what we do is we have the 2 wrong side facing each other of our tote bag. Okay, so make sure you understand that, you know that we're working with. So this would be the front, and this would be the wrong side, so 2 wrong side facing each other. Okay, I continue showing how to do the slip stitch. So again, the line up, very easy because everything is exactly alike. So just go into those chain, because we're going through the thickness of our tote bag. All right, I'll show you another one again. So this is the front, see, and then you pick up, and this is the next part of our tote, the front, and come out that way. and just slip stitch, and this is how it looks. I'll continue doing some more, and then I'll come back in and I'll show you how it looks when we get further down, when it looks like. Okay, so just keep on working with that, doing a slip stitch. Okay, so that's how it's starting to look when we do the slip stitch up our edge of our bag. So we're closing it up. So continue doing your slip stitch. Remember that the thickness, the two, the front and the back of our tote bag. And I'll meet you at the other end, and I'll show you what to do next. So we made it all the way up to that last slip stitch to do to close up our bag. So go into that one for the front, and then the back of our bag, and then to the front of our bag we still have that stitch marker there. We're going to take him out, and that's a good reminder for us. That's why I left him in. And then you're just going to slip stitch, and that's the last one. So that's to close up our bag. So that's how we look when we got there, when we close up our bag with that slip stitch. So the stitch marker that we had, the blue one, well, I had it as blue. You grab it, whatever. But anyway, that stitch marker right there, I took him out because he was the one that was just holding it, so we know where to keep it. So now we have the back of our bag. We have where we put that stitch marker. That's where we're going to start now working in the rounds to make our bag handle and moving forward. So what you're going to do is you're going to chain one, and then you're just going to use just this side of it, okay, where we have the stitch marker, and we're going to put one single crochet around. So take it out, and we're going to start doing that. So now I took out that stitch marker from there. We're going to put one single crochet around the top of our bag, and we're going to come back over to here. So that first single crochet, so I know where I started with, because we're going to be working in rounds now. I put my stitch marker back in. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to do 104, okay, single crochet back around, and I'll meet you there when you complete doing that, and I'll show you what to do next. I just wanted to show you too, so when we complete round one, that you complete it and it looks better. So I did 102 single crochet so far, so this would be 103 single crochet. And then when we started to do the rounds, we had chain one before we started it, so that's like between there. We're going to go right there, put one single crochet, and that's not in, see where we have our stitch marker, so it makes it looks better when we do it that way. So that's the completion of round one with 104 stitches. Now to start round two, take out a stitch marker, and for that first stitch we're going to do one single crochet, put your stitch marker back in, so you know we start from. And then for the additional 7, because it's the first 8, so it'd be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, you're going to do one single crochet, and when you finish with that, I'll meet you there. Okay, so we did those 8 single crochet, so now we're going to chain 40. 1 2 3. Complete doing that, and I'll meet you there at the end of chain 40. So now we did our 40 chain. That's how it look. So I put my stitch marker here, so we know what we're going to use now, the next stitch, because we're going to skip 35 stitches. Okay, so that 35 will bring us here, and we're going to attach our chain right here. Makes it easier. So 35. So now we're going to attach it by a single crochet. Go into that stitch, pull up a loop, and keep your chain straight as you attach it, and then complete it. That's it. Okay, and now for the following 16 stitches, you're going to put one single crochet, and when you finish that, I'll meet you there. So for those 16 stitches, we did one single crochet. So now You see we're shaping out the handle of the bag, so we're going to chain that 40 again. So keep on doing that. I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so we did our 40 chain. So again, I put my stitch marker because we skipped 35 like we did for the first bag handle or tote bag. So now you skip another 35 and we're going to attach it right here. And we attach it with the single crochet, all right? Keep it straight as you can when you attach it. And now for the following 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're just going to do 1 single crochet, and then I'll show you what to do next. So we did that for 6 times by doing just 1 single crochet for the 6th stitch. So now for the next 2 stitch, we're going to do is what it's called, we're going to single crochet 2 stitch together. So we're going to like tug them together and join them up. So how you do that is you go into that stitch, pull up a loop, keep that loop on your hook, go into the next stitch, pull up another loop. So now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over to complete it, and pull across. And there you go. So that's 1. And we're going to do it for the next 2. So the next 2 stitch is go into that stitch, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, next stitch, go into it, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull across, 3 of them. So we combine those 2. That's it. And that's the completion of round 2. So with doing that, we have 102 stitches, and that's without with the bag handles that we did for 40 chain. Okay, so you know. So starting off round 3, take out your stitch marker, and to start round 3 for the first 8 stitch, we're just going to put 1 single crochet in. But of course, put your stitch marker back in so you know where you're at. And when you finish that, I'll meet you there. So now we're going to be working on the bag handle, and that's the chain. So we're going to use the back loops of our chain, all right? So for the first one right here, we're going to put 1 single crochet. And for the next chain, you're going to do a half double again, yarn over before you go down to that chain, pull up a loop, and then to complete it, pull across all 3 of them. And for the additional 36 chain, just do 1 double crochet. When you finish with that 36 times, I'll meet you there. Okay, so we did that for 36 times. We did those 1 double crochet into those chain. So now we're going to do, for the next stitch, we're going to do a half double. The next chain, excuse me. And then for the last chain right there, we're going to do 1 single crochet. You know, it's a little hard to find it, so you got to open it up and then get the back of it. There you go. And that's it. Okay, and that's what we do for the bag handle. Now for the next 16 stitches to the next bag handle, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So just work with that and I'll meet you there. Okay, so we did that for 16 times, 1 single crochet. So now for the next chain, the next bag handle is the same thing we did. So I'll just show you a little bit to remind you again. The first chain is just 1 single crochet. And the next, and we're using the back, remember, of the chain, the bump, you're going to put right there a half double. And then for the additional 36 chain, you're going to do a double crochet, and when you get to the last 2 will be a half double, and then the last one will be a single crochet. So do that and I'll meet you there and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so we finished doing the second bag handle by doing the 36 double crochet, and then the last 2 stitches we did the half double and the single. So now for the remaining 8 stitches before we get to our stitch marker to start the next row, the round. We're going to do 1 single crochet, so that will be in 8 stitches. Okay, so with the completion of round 3, we have 112 stitches, and that's with the bag handle. Okay, so now for round 4, take out our stitch marker, and for that first stitch we're going to do 1 single crochet, put your stitch marker back in, and for the additional 8 stitches you're going to do 1 single crochet. Okay, so it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and I'll meet you there. Okay, so we did that for 9 times, 1 single crochet. So the next stitch is going to be a half double crochet, and then for the next 36 stitches we're going to do 1 double crochet. It's almost the same pattern we did for round 3. So just keep on working with that, and I'll show you what to do next. We did that for 36 times. We did those 1 double crochet. So the next stitch now we're going to do the half double, and then for the next 18 stitches till we get up to the next bag handle, we're going to do 1 single crochet. So I'll meet you there. Now we did that for 18 times, 1 single crochet. So now the next stitch will be the half double, and for the remaining 36 stitches you're going to do 1 double crochet. Get the hint by doing them over the same pattern kind of. Okay, so keep on working with that. Okay, so we did 1 double crochet for 36 times, so now we have the half double to do in the next stitch, and then for the remaining 9 stitches before you get to your stitch marker you're going to do 1 single crochet, and that's it. So that's it, we finished doing our bag handle on top of our bag. So now with that you have 112 stitches for the completion of round 4. So what you're going to do is you're going to pull up a nice size tail so we could finish off and tuck it in. I'll show you how to do that. So I cut off my yarn and I attached my yarn needle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to tuck it inside, but before we do we want to finish off, because see we have that like it's not nice and even. So here we're going to do is we're going to take, like we were going to do another single crochet, but we skip the stitch that has our stitch marker, go into the next one, and then turn it so you can work with it. And what you're going to do now is you're going to go back into the stitch that our yarn is coming from, and you're going to go just to the back loop. Take out your stitch marker now. And see, we did like an invisible join, okay? Makes it looks nice. And now you could start tuck it in like how we've been doing with everything else, all right? So remember, go down some, come up some, go down as much as your tail can allow you. So you tuck it in, and that's it. That's how we close it off. So now we're going to start making the watermelon slices, and we're going to have to make 4 of them, and we make 4 of them exactly alike. So I already did my slip down stitch. I showed you how to do that earlier. So now we're going to do is chain 4, 1 2 3 and 4, and now that third chain from our hook, 1 2 3, I turn it again to the back. We're going to do 1 double crochet in there, so we're using the back, and I'll put a stitch marker there so you can see what I'm saying. And then we have 1 more chain right there left, the last one. We're also going to put 1 double crochet right there, and that's it. So that's the completion of row 1. So for row 2, you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn your work. And now you see why I put that there. I wanted to make sure you understand that stitch marker for those 2 stitches we have there. We're going to put 2 double crochet in each of those stitches. This is the first one, and then for that last one you're going to take out your stitch marker and put 2 there, and then I'll meet you there. So keep on working with that, but I just put it there so you can see what I mean. All right, so put 2 right there and I'll meet you there. So now we did that. So we have, for the completion of row 2, you have 4 stitches. So now row 3, you're going to chain 2, and then for the first stitch right there, you're going to put 2 double crochet, and then for the following 2 stitch right here, 1, 2, you're just going to put 1 double crochet, and then for the last, you're going to put 2 double crochet, and you're going to chain 2 and turn your work, and I'll meet you there. So for the completion of row 3, you have your 6 stitches. So now for row 4, we're going to put, for that first stitch, 2 double crochet, and then for the following to the last, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to put 1 double crochet, and then in the last stitch you're going to put 2 double crochet. So I'll meet you there. So for the completion of row 4, you have your 8 stitches. So chain 2, row 5, for the first, you get the hint of what we're doing. You put 2 double crochet in the first stitch, and then for the following, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're going to do 1 double crochet, and the last you're going to do 2 double crochet. So keep on working with that pattern and I'll meet you there. So we completed working with row 5 and we have our 10 stitches. So now row 6, chain 2, turn our work, and the first stitch we're going to put 2 double crochet, yeah. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we're going to just do that 1 double crochet, and the last you're going to put 2 double crochet. So keep on working with that pattern and I'll meet you there. So we completed doing row 6 with that pattern, and then we have 12 stitches. So now row 7, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to put 1 single crochet in that first stitch. A single crochet again is go into that stitch, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull across. That's it. And for the next 2 stitches, we're going to do a half double. Half double is yarn over before you go into that stitch, and then you pick up a loop. You have 3 loops in your hook, yarn over, and you're going to pull across all 3 of them at the same time. That's the half double. Another one, yarn over before you go into that stitch, then pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull across 3 of them. And then for the remaining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitch, you're going to put 1 single crochet. Single crochet again is just go into that stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull across. So do that for additional 5 more times and I'll meet you there and show you what to do next. Okay, so we did that for 6 times. We did 1 double crochet. Now the next 2 stitch we're going to put 1 half double crochet in them. So half double is yarn over, go into that stitch, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull across. Another one into the next stitch, and then the last stitch we have, we're going to put 1 single crochet. And then what you're going to do is yarn over, because we're going to do a chain, because we're going to fasten off. But what you're going to do, you're going to pull up a nice size tail, because that's it. So you end off with that same 12 stitches that we end off in row 6, because we didn't increase. And pull up a nice tail, because with that nice tail we're going to have to sew around our watermelon slices. So give it about 25 inches, and that will give us enough to sew around, and then we could tuck it in later. Now I'm going to show you how to make the seeds for the watermelon. We're going to make 12 of them. You're going to make 12 of them exactly alike. I'm going to show you how to make 1. And this is where we change the hook size. We change it to the US F5. It's the 3.75 millimeter, and we change our color of our yarn to the black. So to get started, we're going to start off with an adjustable ring. And this is how I do my adjustable ring. I take the yarn, drape it over my 2 fingers, I let it fall to the back, take my hook and pull up a loop. And similar to how I do my slip knot stitch, and to hold the adjustable ring in place, we're going to just chain 1. That's it. And of course, these are not spiders, they're my watermelon seeds, but I'm going to move them so it doesn't distract me. I just wanted to show you though what they look like when I do them. So I'm going to move them so we could concentrate on our adjustable ring and move on. Okay, so now we did that chain 1, and that's not considered a stitch, it's just to hold our adjustable ring in place. Now we're going to go into adjustable ring by doing 1 single crochet. And I'm going to put a stitch marker there because it's the dark color yarn, it's hard to see, so I want you to know what I'm talking about when we get there. So now go back into your adjustable ring and do another single crochet, and then we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and then go back into your adjustable ring. I like to give the tail a little tug, don't pull it all the way, so I could hold on to it, because the way I'm holding on to it, make sure that I don't lose it and I could work with it better. So go back down into adjustable ring, and we're going to do an additional 2 more single crochet. That's 1, another 1, and that's 2. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to close up our adjustable ring by pulling the tail. Now we pull the tail all the way, and see where I put the stitch marker? What we're going to do now is we're going to slip stitch there. So I'm going to leave the stitch marker right there so you can see what I'm talking about, and I'm going to make it get in there. There you go. Now I'm going to take out the stitch marker, and a slip stitch is just pull up a loop, and you're going to pull straight across that loop we have on our hook. That's it. That's a slip stitch, and now that's our little seed. I think it looks pretty good. Anyway, so that's it. So now we're going to chain 1. We're going to pull up a nice size tail, about 6 inches. We're going to use it to sew it on to our watermelon slices, and you're going to tuck in the tail. So you have a nice size tail, tuck it in, hide it, and of course in the back of your seed, and then leave this part because we're going to use the tail to sew on toward the watermelon slices. So do all of that, and then I'll show you what to do next. That's it. Okay, moving forward now, what we're going to do is, as you see, for one of the watermelon slices, I already added on 2 of our watermelon seeds, and this is how it looks in the back. I tucked in the back already of them, so I'll show you how to sew on 1, and you go ahead and do all the rest. And I don't know if it makes a difference for you to see, but this is the back of our seed, and this is the front of it. Okay, when you do it, you see it, and then you can see, because it's a darker yarn, so it makes a difference for you to see. But back and front, and I have my yarn needle attached, so all we're going to do is just sew it on. And how I do that, so we have that little like point when we finish off. So I'm going to go right through the top, and you go through the thickness of our triangle. Okay, that's okay, because if it shows, it's fine. Because remember, we're going to sew on the watermelon slice to our tote bag, and then just proceed in sewing it on. And that's all I'm going to be doing. See, I come out the other side. So like I said, don't worry if it shows. Pull it, and there you go. Okay, and just sew it on as best as you can. You feel it as you go, and you can see it. And now we're going to just hide our tail underneath, because that's secure enough. And go ahead and just hide it, and then I'm going to cut off the extra little tail from our seed, and go ahead and trim up any other end or any other tail and tuck them in from the other parts. And now we're going to move on to actually sewing on our watermelon slice to our tote bag. Now for the front of our bag, I already went and pinned all the other watermelon slices, and by doing that you make sure that we have it lined up so that when we get ready to sew it on, it stays and it looks nice when you do that. So this is just the prep work so that our work will come out nice. So just go ahead and pin them on, and then I'll show you how to sew it to our tote bag. Try not to put it where we're gonna go to the edge, okay? So try to keep the pins away from the edges. So I attached my yarn needle, of course, already too. And now we're just gonna go pick up the top layer of our work, and we're just gonna go as much as we can through the thickness, the two thickness of our watermelon slices. Hold it, so that's just to anchor it. Why? Because now you see we don't want it to show inside our bag when we do it, okay? Because for when we were putting on the seeds, we had no problem showing that because that's going to be here, but now we don't want our work to show inside. So we're just going to be careful as we go along, come back out, because we're on the top now, the yarn is on the top. So take our needle and make sure our yarn needle, bring it so the yarn comes to the bottom, and just pick up the yarn from underneath and then go back top. Like I said, if you can grab at least 2 strands of yarn as you go. That will help anchor it. And that's all you do. So from the top, so I made it back where I put that first stitch to hold on to our watermelon slice. So go ahead and remove your pins, and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so this is how we look. We took out our pins, we sewed them on. I think they came out pretty nice. Looks pretty good. So now we did that last stitch right there. We're just going to anchor it, and we're going to go inside and weave it in till we get in here, but we're going to try not to get it to the show from the other side, but try to pick up some stitches as you go so it holds on, okay? And that's it. I'm just gonna hide it there. There you go. So just do that for the others and cut off your yarn, and that's it. So that's it. We did it. We made a watermelon tote bag. You did great work. I think it came out pretty nice. I enjoy working on it and showing you how to do it. Let's examine inside. Let's see. So that's the inside. And of course, this is the front for our watermelon tote bag. And this is the back, how it looks. That's it. We finished making our bag. I think it came out pretty nice. I liked it. And you made it with your own hands. Isn't that nice? You could make something and it looks so nice. So great job. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.